Is he a black Nazi or a racist? Let's see what his wife has to say.
Let's reverse engineer. Why is it like in the state of New York, there are more black babies being murdered in the womb than are alive? So the words of Margaret Sanger has turned out to be prophetic. And also the abortion agenda is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Hello, welcome to Sophisticated Logic. Guys, I am so excited about my next guest. So the first time I actually saw my guest husband was on my social media. Okay, so I guess it's what you call mega viral. So he didn't go just viral, he went mega viral. And I was just like millions of other people, not only here in the great state of North Carolina, but across the country. This incredible man resonated with millions and millions of people. And just like myself, you know, he was an average, hardworking man, loving man, father, and he was just sick and tired of being sick and tired and just fed up with all of the foolishness that he was seeing. So he went and spoke his mind, and it's just it just caught on, and it just captured the hearts and minds of millions, and so. Because of that, that pretty much led him into the world of politics. And I had the wonderful opportunity to see Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson speak. And then I was blessed to have the opportunity to meet him personally. And one of the things that just really blew me away is to see him campaigning and being on a stump and hearing, you know, what he was going to do, how he was going to do it. And then once he actually got into office, guys, he actually was doing what he campaigned on, what he was going to do. So for that alone, that was just truly such a breath of fresh air. And I knew that he was God's man. He is so unapologetic and so unwavering about his stance, about his love for his wife, his love for his family, his love for this country. And so with that being said, I would love to introduce you guys to his beautiful wife. And before I introduce her, you know, a man who finds a wife finds a good thing. And I know whenever there is a strong, courageous, God-fearing alpha man, there is an incredible wife that is holding him down. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Yolanda Robinson. How are you today, ma'am?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Felicia, for having me today.
Yes, it is
It's an honor
truly.
to be
Yeah,
here.
listen, the honor is all mine. So listen. Tell who is your husband? You know, let the viewers know who he is.
Well, a lot of your viewers have heard a lot of things, and the media has tried to define who he is. But what people became, well, when he came known in 2018 from that viral speech that you spoke about earlier, that is who he has always been. It's just that the world found out in 2018. But the person that you saw on that video in 2018 is actually the person I've always known for 36 years. He has always been passionate about things that he cares about, his family, his state, his country, issues that are important to him. He's always, had this loud, boisterous, baritone voice anyway. But he is the same person that I met as far as his passion and what he cares about, and the caring person that I've always known.
Yolanda, so let me ask you this because it's like literally, well, I know for us on the outside looking in, he came on the scene like a roaring lion. He was like, he's like, 1 minute no one knew who he was, and then literally the entire world. I mean, this, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. I mean, he went viral across the world, not only here
Yes.
in America. So what was that like? Like, how did that shake things up, or what was that experience like for him to come upon the national and world stage in such a big way? What was that transition like for you as his wife?
It was different. After the speech in 2018, you're always hearing it went, like you said, mega viral, if that's, a
That is a
term.
term the young people
But
use.
really, we kept thinking, and he was getting calls from all over the country, all over the world, really. And we thought, just like most things, 15 minutes of fame,
Yeah,
as they say, and
it'll
then
blow over.
it'll die down and our lives will go back to normal. That never happened, and it has not happened as of yet. Um, but after that speech that he was going around speaking on conservative issues for a lot of conservative groups across not just our state, but in other states and even in Germany and things like that. So, he was just being a champion for the things that he's passionate about. And then we were talking and trying to figure, okay, well, there are a lot of people that brought a lot of things to him during that time and says, you can monetize this, and do you realize how much money you can make? But, we knew, when Mark knew, that God did not put him in that moment for him to make
To
money
make
off of
money.
that.
That's good.
That
I,
it
lo- I
was
love that.
something that God, at that point, it was like God had released him, and Mark says it all the time, to do the work that he had called him to do. And in order to make the most effective change and how to be most effective, then we were like, well, the next step, we had always been politically aware
Yeah.
and, conscious voters and informed voters and things like that. Never thought about running for politics until, we were thinking about how to make the most effective change.
Yes.
And that would be running for office.
That,
Um,
oh my,
and it
so
was
that was my next question, is like, who were some of the people that's in your personal inner circle, that is just because I say all the time, I'm very unapologetic. And I've told him, I tell you, I tell whomever that will listen, even if they really don't want to listen, Mark is like literally God's man. And I say that because of prayer, of asking God,
yes.
who is this man? Let me know, because when I advocate for someone, I support someone, I'm very vocal. And so before doing that, I always take it to the Father, and
That's
then
right.
I do my research. So who was it? Just a intimate, private husband-wife conversation? Was there a few other key players that really encouraged Mark to put his hat in the political ring? Because even then, it was so heated, and the country was already divided in a way that I have not seen in my lifetime. So, other than yourself, who were some of the other key players that really encouraged Mark to put his hat in the political ring?
Yeah. Well, initially, when we talked about it, that would be the next step, or the best step for him to take to be able to do the things that he wanted to do and help the people he wanted to help. He did talk to just a few political friends that he knew,
Yeah.
and a lot of them had made his suggestions of, running for mayor here in the city of Greensboro, where we were living at the time, or county commissioner or something like that. But we had another dear friend that he's known in politics, probably he's known him for over 20 years, that says, no, you need to look, your vision needs to be bigger. And so, we prayed about it, talked through things, and Mark will tell anybody who's like, I'm the one that decided he should run for lieutenant governor. But it was a suggestion, and we prayed about it, and we knew it was going to be an open seat for one, because our former lieutenant governor Dan Forrest was his last term, and he couldn't run for the seat again. And also, that office fit Mark's personality perfectly.
Yes.
That's we through prayer. That was the decision that we made together.
Awesome. So, Yolanda, can you please tell the viewers about your husband, Lieutenant Governor? Hopefully, our next governor of the great state of North Carolina. Can you share with the viewers about his vision for North Carolina and North Carolinians?
Sure, I'll be happy to. And if you're, any of your viewers have not had the opportunity to meet Mark or hear him talk about his vision for North Carolina, I know that a lot of people on the other side of the aisle have tried to define him, trying to
Yes, they
make it
have.
appear that his governorship, our Robinson administration, will be focused on a lot of social issues. Those issues have already been, our legislature has already made decisions on most of those issues. Of course, our personal belief is that we are pro life, 100%
Come
pro
on.
life.
Come on.
However, our legislature makes that decision. And when Roe v. Wade was overturned at the Supreme Court and sent back to the states, our legislature determined that would be from 20 weeks to 12. We'd of course like to see that, lowered.
Lord, yeah.
But right now, Mark's focus as governor will be to create a culture of life in North Carolina. So even if you
Love
had a
it.
law that totally outlawed abortion, we know, and most adults know, that people will still find a way to do that.
Yes.
However, in
I'm
North
sorry, go ahead.
Carolina, he wants to create that culture of life so that when people find themselves in maybe desperate situations or dire situations and they don't know what to do, that they will be like, hey, but you know what? The economy in North Carolina is really great. The school system is great. The housing is affordable. I feel comfortable having my baby, and that won't be abortion won't be a thought.
Yes.
And so for North Carolina, his vision as governor is going to be focused, number one, on our economy, which across the country, not just here in North Carolina, is a major concern for most people right
Yes, it
now.
is.
Gas is high. Housing is extremely outrageous right now, and it has become in the last 5 years.
Oh, it is. It is truly
Grocery
outrageous.
prices are high. And so Mark likes to say, and he likes to say it this way: our economy is a single issue, but it is not a singular issue.
I
And
love
that a
that.
good economy is built on five pillars. You have public safety, public education, infrastructure, housing, and healthcare. And so, as governor, someone may ask, well, how's the governor going to affect those things, and how will he affect the economy? Well, number one, as governor, no one wants to, he will have the ability to appoint people that are over those state agencies that have sway over things such as healthcare, public education, public safety, infrastructure, things
Yeah.
like DOT and DEQ, Division of Environmental Quality, and things like that. So they set the tone for our housing regulations and things
Yes.
like that. So
Something
he
my
wants to
husband is
make sure
very
he will
interested
appoint
in. Yeah.
people
Yeah.
over those agencies who will actually realize that their job is to, of course, put up barriers and make sure that the playing field is fair to everyone,
Yes.
but not to create barriers.
Exactly.
And to realize that they don't work for a government agency, be it Republicans or Democrats, but they work for the people of North Carolina. And their job is to make their lives as successful and lay out a path so that they can be successful in whatever they are doing. And so, of course, the big part of that, and he kind of pulls that out, is the education issue. And as lieutenant governor, that's been his main focus at his office. And so going forward, we know, and a lot of people may not realize that the power in the state public school system lies with our state school board.
Yeah. Yes, it does.
And so people don't realize that. And you hear a lot of people saying, well, our public schools need more money, they need more money. But what people may not realize, and most people don't, because I didn't until, you're fully involved in politics, you may not realize it's not a money issue. Our state spends over 61% of our entire state budget on public schools. So you're
Mm,
talking over $31 billion budget. 61% of it is allotted to public schools.
wow.
The issue lies with the standards
Yes.
that are pushed down from a state bureaucracy that is out of touch and does not play well with
So
others.
let me ask. So what you're saying is, so it is, money is not the issue.
No,
It right. So
it's how the money is being
it is
spent.
how the money is being spent and allocated. And one of the things that I'm hearing personally, uh, as a voter in North Carolina and as just a common sense, practical, logical based mindset, is that common sense is truly under attack because
Yes.
with all of the vision, the vision with that you just laid out, your husband's Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson's vision. I'm like, why would anyone have an issue with that? Whether you are Republican, conservative, independent, left leaning, everything that you just laid out is just common sense. And
Yes.
why would you have any issue? So, and also you had mentioned about Lieutenant Governor, his just bringing back life. And if anyone who knows me for a second, I tell people I am a one issue voter, and that is for life, because without life, there's nothing.
Correct.
And when you're able to convince a mother, convince a father, convince a society and a culture and a nation to slaughter or to take the lives of their future, of their legacy, of their children, there is nothing else that they won't do for you. So it only makes sense that they have to attack everything that is practical, everything that is truly righteous, truly good, that is truly common sense. So with that being said, can you I mean, what is it like for your family, for your children, you know, taking this walk, because the decision that you and your husband made to put your hat in the political ring, it also has implications on the people that's closest and dearest to you. And for example, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson has had some really sensational accusations and attacks levied against him, and people don't understand. He is still, he's a husband. He's a father, he's a grandfather. There's, close family members and friends that this really impacts, and people don't understand. So, Yolanda, how are you guys been able to navigate these waters of these attacks?
Yeah. And you're so right. When you decide to run for any office, I don't care if it's local dog catcher or president of the United
Right?
States, it's just not the candidate that is affected.
Yeah.
It does affect, your family and close friends and relatives. And during this process, lieutenant governor's race, it was difficult in a little bit of that, but it wasn't. But this governor's race has really brought out, and as my grandson, who was 7, likes to say, the sneaky serpents.
I
And
like that. I'm gonna take that. Sneaky serpents. Yes.
um, but the way we have navigated, the terrible, salacious falsehoods that have been put out by people who don't like him and don't like what he stands for, be it Democrats or Republicans. We're not even sure at this point
Keep it real.
who was behind those attacks. But what we do know is that we are standing on truth.
Come on.
And we know that our God is greater than their lives.
Amen.
And that is what we have focused on. Now, does that say it hasn't been hard? And sometimes, your feelings get hurt, but you have to quickly pull yourself out of those. And as my pastor likes to say, it's the time for you to lean into Jesus even more. And that's where we have found, and people will call us, and we have, you wouldn't believe, especially with this latest attack, was just so horrendous
It truly was.
that we have had in the past couple of weeks. I can't tell you the thousands of messages, calls, texts. Both of us, Mark and myself together, have gotten from people all over this country, not just our state, that are praying, that have started prayer chains, that have held prayer vigils for us.
Awesome.
So we know that, of course, yes, they're attacking Mark, but they are actually just attacking what they know God is going to do. And they're
Yeah.
just being used by the enemy. And
Mm-hmm.
we know that the battle is not just political, but it's also spiritual. And so we're focused and are going to stay focused on doing what God has called him to do.
Amen. It is truly a spiritual battle, and when I first caught wind of these horrendous attacks, in the beginning, I'm like, no. Because I know because my
Right.
father told me so.
That's right.
But it's just I literally was just very hard for me to escape. I said, well, let me just kind of see what these attacks are about. So once I started to kind of poke and prod and just look into things, I'm like, so this is just my personal opinion and assessment with some of the accusations and attacks that were levied against your husband. I'm like, this was, so, and correct me if I'm wrong, some of the attacks were based on particular screenshots that just magically appeared. And I'm like, well, 10 years ago, certain hot topics that are very hot today were not hot 10 years ago. And some of the wording and word tracks is not the language that we were using 10 years ago. And I thought it was awful funny, and it did not pass the smell test at all. And I'm like, it seems to be that the so-called alleged screenshot is completely aligned with the attacks and the word tracks that the Democrats and the lefties use today to levy against folks like, me and you and Lieutenant Governor Robinson. Your thoughts?
You are absolutely spot on. When we saw some of those, it was like, and my daughter was here one day last week, and we were right before I think the story broke or whatever, and we were talking about, and it was almost comical
Yeah.
because the things that they alleged that Mark posted, one, he's never been that type. I've known him 36 years. I've never heard him talk that way. I've never heard him, you know, use those
It just
that
it
language
didn't
or
make
anything
any
like
sense.
that.
Right.
But like you said, everything that they say he posted is in direct contrast to everything he is, stands on, or he's, so Stevie Wonder probably could have sing through
Exactly.
that.
And then I
you know.
tell people, but they don't want to. With those who call themselves, supporters, but have kind of fell back or are now apprehensive. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's why you have to have discernment and take
Exactly.
everything through the Father and ask him, because I tell people, examine the fruit thereof. I mean, he has been in office. How has he governed? What are his actions.
Right. Right.
And, so there you go. Those, hey, that's just
Yes.
my personal
You
thoughts.
know, and you're absolutely right, Felicia. And people always say, well,
Excuse me.
you know, and I think people forget that as lieutenant governor, the things that he's done for this state, he ran on, being an advocate for our education system and getting the indoctrination and CRT and DEI out of our schools. Immediately
Yeah.
when he was inaugurated, they went to work on that. He set up the task force that made up of people of different from teachers, administrators, just private citizens,
Yes.
educators that were designed to, okay, because everybody was saying, oh, there's no indoctrination in our schools. Well, okay, it's not a Fox News driven issue, as the media like to call it.
Yeah.
So we set that up so that we can actually do the research, get the information from those people. And they did, and they published that report to show that yes. And that was the catalyst that you see now for a lot of people, not just in North Carolina, but across the country, who are going to their local school board meetings,
Yes.
asking them to remove those books and pornographic materials that don't need to be in our schools and have our children exposed to.
Yes.
Also, he's an advocate for getting our children career ready and not just college ready in the public school system, because there's a myriad of things that people can do and trades and things like that they can learn at our community colleges for little to no debt,
Yeah.
mind you, and have great careers. And so his office was able to secure I think it's $12 million, $11 million in apprenticeship funds for those careers and students that want to, look into or pursue those avenues. And so they've done a lot of work in his office that the media will never tell you
Of course
about.
not.
Everything that the media shows about him is always negative.
Always.
So we just
Yes.
have to get that word out, let people know exactly what he has been doing while he's been
I,
lieutenant
I
governor
love
and what he
it.
will do as governor.
I love it. And thank you for just making that so simplistic but very powerful in terms of, what his vision is. And I tell you that they I'm the type of person, I give credit where credit is due, even if it's very painful. And the left is very masterful at taking what is righteous and making it look like it's unrighteous. Saying what's good is evil and what's evil is good. And I'm just so thankful for you and Lieutenant Governor for fighting for our children, and going against this, what they call book banning, but they, they so leave off strategically and deliberately the fact that it is pornographic-esque type books that we are going after, books that when Lieutenant Governor is interviewed, he is not even able to even read the material. They would have to censor
Right.
or edit out, but yet these are the books that are being found and taught in our schools. And in some parts of the country, the parents are not even given a right to even opt out. So
Right.
you have to understand, we cannot continue to have itching ears or rely on sound bites. You have to do the work. You have to rise above all of this that is going on and say, why are they attacking them? Or if they're banning books, then ask yourself, what type of books are they? These are very low level, baseline, common sense questions that you will discover will unearth the truth, the real truth.
That's
But
right.
one of the things I wanted to ask you, Yolanda, what what have some of the takeaways you have gained? Because I know being in this political game, especially at such a high level, and as you guys are, what are some of the takeaways? What are some of the things, as the second lady, have you learned or have you gained from this incredible experience?
Yes. and it has been an incredible experience. I mean, the good far outweighs the negative that we've had to deal
So
with.
glad to hear that.
One of the main things I feel like that I have gained from this is that the wonderful people, not just in the state of North Carolina, but across this country, that we've had the opportunity to meet and to get to know. And a lot of these people will be lifelong friends of ours. There are so many strong, praying
Love it.
Christians who are involved in the political system who, just like before, and that's one of the main reasons I think that the Lord has not completely taken his hand off of our country yet, is because there are saints across this
Come
country who
on.
are
Yes.
continuing to pray. And a lot of the issues that we are dealing with as a state and as a nation, a lot of those issues are spiritual issues that our church has let fall to the wayside and pushed into the political realm that never should have been political. Um,
Yes.
so I think the main thing I've learned is, one, you better have thick skin in this,
Yes.
if you're going to be
You
in
better.
politics.
It's not for the faint of heart for
It
sure.
is not. And you have to be very secure in knowing who you are and whose you are.
Yes. Come on. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
now that's one of the main things. But like I said, the blessing out of all of that has been the good, strong prayer warriors that the God has surrounded us with through this process.
Yes. And I just love the fact that I can personally speak directly to having some interactions with your husband, Lieutenant Governor, and now with you as well. And I can tell you, when I say these incredible people are truly, I say, Mark is God's man, and and I know that you are a praying woman and you are serious about our Father's business, and I'm just so thankful for you guys for still just staying grounded. You know what that looks like. You understand. You know what that walk is. Just being grounded and not being moved and just still being so relatable. You have this now, this national and this world name and face recognition, but you guys are just still just so just regular smegular. You're just regular. And
That's
I just
right.
absolutely adore that. And I can personally speak to that and can testify. I'm a witness that these folks are incredible. They are truly doing God's work. I say all the time that Lieutenant Governor is God's man behind enemy lines. So it is no wonder these attacks are just so outrageous. So one of the things I want to ask you, what is a fun fact or facts about Lieutenant Governor that maybe, we don't know about? If you don't mind
Well, if you
sharing.
met him at all, then most people probably do know that he has an affinity to trains, of course. He loves model trains. He's taken over our entire loft with his model railroad
I love
layout.
that.
And also, he has gotten our grandson into that. But I think one of the main things people don't realize about him, usually when you see him, or if he's at an event and you hear him speak, or you're listening to sound bites that people have um, pieced together, for a commercial, then you'll look like, wow, he is an angry person. That could not be further from the truth.
Yeah.
And Felicia, because if you spent even 5 minutes around him, then you know that he is one of the happiest people. He's
Yes,
always
indeed.
laughing,
Yes.
and telling stories about things, either from his childhood or things that have happened. He really loves people, and he does never meets a stranger. I don't care who it is, and he relates to people, and he's genuine. I think that that's what people are drawn to,
Yes, absolutely.
and God has given him a gift, and he's able to speak passionately about the things he believes in. And a lot of people say, well, you don't write anything down, and you don't ever write a speech, and he does it. And I tell people all the time, he doesn't have to do that, because one, when you're talking about things that you truly believe in, you don't have to write it down,
Yes.
because you're speaking from your heart.
Yes, that has stood
And I
out to
think
me, the
people
fact that he
realize that
never
he is
writes. Yeah,
genuine.
yeah, it's always off. So it lets you know that it's truly in
Right.
him. Yeah, I love that. So, Yolanda, what are some ways that my viewers they can get involved and help out with this campaign or contribute? What are some ways that we can get involved to help you guys in this fight?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank all of the people that have already been supporting him over the years. We appreciate each and every one of you. Of course, we're revving up for these last 5 weeks on
Yeah.
this campaign. The best way to get involved, be it to volunteer, whether you want to knock doors, make phone calls, work the polling sites on the election from early voting through election day, or make donations. The best way to do that is through his website, his campaign website, which is markrobinson4nc.com. That's Mark Robinson, FORNC.com.
Love it. Love it. Well, listen, it has truly been such an honor and a privilege to speak to such an amazing woman because listen, wife to wife, I know it can get hectic, but I just want to say thank you for your service. Thank you for saying yes to the call that God has placed on your life as being a homemaker, a wife, and now in this political game. And it's just, it makes a difference. Just your family structure, just the importance of having the mother, the father, your children, and now with the legacy of your beautiful grandbabies. So, but thank you. And I would love to have you back on in a few weeks, if that's okay with you.
Yes, I would love to come. Yes.
Yes, but it's been a pleasure, and thank you so much for coming on.
Well, it has been an honor. Thank you for having me and giving me this platform to speak to, your audience and let them know a little bit about who he really is,
Yes,
and his vision for North Carolina.
love it, love it. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good
You
day.
too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
I hope you guys loved that interview with Lieutenant Governor, our next governor of North Carolina's wife, Yolanda Robinson. If you like this content, please like, share, and subscribe.
Someone